talking about videos, we're on one right now.
Hey, how are you, Dr. Morse?
Hello, Linda. This is Linda Beauregard. This is Robert Morse, and we are doing a video.
A testimonial.
A testimonial video. That is even better because I love testimonials these guys are getting them like crazy. These guys, now I was reading this one and we had this producer. Matter of fact, the new Meg movie is just about out. This is a book written by one of our writers here, and the producer, she produces for Discovery and everything. She woke up with a little bit of a problem with the spleen and platelets and stuff called leukemia type stuff.
Oh, that.
So 8 weeks, and this college, this university told her that she had some mutation in her genetics, in her genes. And so 8 weeks later, no leukemia and no genetic weakness. Then I'm talking about her story on the YouTube, picked up the next read, and this guy said, I just had leukemia, gone in 8 weeks. Wow. So that sort of thing, when people realize it's not diseases, it's not leukemia that you're curing, because diseases are man-made. These concepts are medically made, so there's no cure to them.
Right.
They're fabrications of the mind, and so there's no cure to fabrication. In reality, when you understand science, you understand the two sides like you did. You understand the two sides of chemistry right off. You understood what system. We've been talking about that system, right, before we went on. Mm-hmm. And we were just talking about the new organ found, the spaces in between.
The interstitial.
The interstitial. Crazy. And our group knows all about them. Mm-hmm. Knows all about the lymph system, how it works. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
It is amazing.
I'm pretty proud of our group.
Oh my God, well you've done a lot to make sure that you're proud of our group.
I hope
you
so.
teach us the truth, and that's the most important part. To get the truth out there.
It is the most important, because we're talking about that at all levels in government. Because you're like me, we watch governments, we watch everything, basically.
How everything moves, and we want to be told the truth about things, and how much simpler life would be if we were
just
told the truth.
Yeah, just told the truth. That's the truth. Whether you like it or not, here's the truth of it. I wish we could get to that level. It's hard for people to get that out.
Well, hopefully one day, very soon, we'll have more of that and have a better planet all around.
Oh, yeah, I'm hoping that.
Health and government and healing.
Then the young people with the more advanced awareness is coming in can have a chance, to really make a difference instead of battling their health to stay alive here.
Oh, I know, and it's happening. Younger and younger people are getting illness and disease, and
oh my God.
I said to a friend of mine the other day that, I'll keep you in my prayers, and I realized that day, I've said it to like 4 different friends because somebody new has got some major illness, and they're all young people in their 20s, in their 30s that are coming down with strokes and cancers.
That's what I've been telling you. I've been telling them on there. The teenagers, the 20-year-olds, the 30-year-olds. My heart goes out. And then these new babies. This one I was just reading this morning, the doctors are making the mother, I don't know how they can make the mother, but making the mother come off breast milk and putting them on formulas. Now, the breast milk is probably acidic, but so are the formulas.
Oh, they're worse.
Oh, yeah, much worse. So, big problems, out there, and the people don't understand. How do you get that breast milk to alkaline so the baby doesn't have that colicky, mucousy type of kickback from it? Those sort of things, you have to learn the diets are the key here.
What the mother eats, so change what the mother's eating and the baby will thrive.
Exactly. It's one thing to cheat once in a while and have something bad, I get all that, but when you're facing stuff, you got to work on it. You got to change your diet and understand that we're living beings and we require living nutrition.
Yeah.
Nutrition isn't just chemical, it's electrical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just talking to another friend of mine today about that very thing. Absolutely.
Small world, but it's true.
Yeah.
So you've got a pretty interesting story.
Well, not as much as some that you've done, but I think it's really important for people to kind of hear this story.
Oh, yeah.
And because you were instrumental in the forming of it back when I first met you years ago.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
How long has it been since I met you?
2015. It was January of 2015.
Wow.
So I think it would be helpful for the YouTubers and people who are watching this to hear a little bit about my history. Is that okay?
What were you dealing with?
Well, so I just want to share that this video is going to be about probably four things. It's going to be about having your eyes red, about Band-Aids, watermelon, and getting to the root cause of whatever the problem is that people are dealing with.
I like all four things.
I know. So, in just a little bit of history about me, in 2005, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I cured it in the same year in like 6 months using a protocol, not yours because I didn't know you then, but using a protocol of detoxification and basically getting rid of a problem diet, a problem lifestyle, and so forth. And ever since that time, it's been like 14 years, I've lived a really healthy and vibrant life.
So detoxification was at the core
Still.
of how you conquered that.
Yep. Absolutely. And then in 2014, I met you through somebody that introduced me to your YouTube videos and so forth. And I was watching the videos, and I had a really strong connection with a lot of the words that you were using, like fruit, like not just detoxification, but regenerative detoxification,
exactly.
like lymphatic system and getting your kidneys filtering. I'm like, well, what did all of those words mean? Because even having gone through a year's worth of detox that I did with the cancer, I kept going, even though I was only into it 6 months, and I felt cured because I had a couple of tests that kind of indicated it was gone. So I still kept up the protocol for another 6 months before I backed off a little bit. So all of these things were not familiar to me, so I wanted to find out more about it. So I called the office, and I did what probably not too many people do. I made a well patient visit with you. So in January of 2015, I came up here in this very office, so this is kind of like deja vu for me. And we sat here, and I had my eyes read, or they took an iris photo. And I thought to myself on my way up here, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to get a gold star. I'm going to, pass this with flying colors, and, I'm going to be kind of good to the grave kind of thing. So needless to say, I was very surprised. And I remember I was living a vibrant, healthy life, and not until I met you, I still did afterwards, but it was just like what you saw in my eyes was so telling. Because with the health questionnaire that we fill out and the iris photos that you were looking at and sharing what you saw with me, I had a lot of problems with my organs that were primarily lymphatically congested. You saw nerve rings in my eyes, and you specifically saw a problem with my left eye and my left leg that you said I'm going to have some experience down the road with that. And quite honestly, I thought you were nuts. I did. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm like, I ballroom dance 3 or 4 nights a week. And I took ballroom dancing lessons, and there was nothing wrong with my legs at the time. Or my leg. It's only the one leg. Thank God it was only the one leg. So anyways, you set about to give me an herbal protocol, and you told me about the fruits and how the kidneys have to be filtering and looking for cloudy urine and all of that. So I went home the next day. I went home, and the next day I tested my urine, and sure enough, it was clear. And I'm like, son of a gun, you're right. So I set about putting that protocol and the diet to work, and checking my urine off and on in the next 3 months that followed. Still nothing.
No kidding, in 3 months.
Until 3 months later, finally.
Wow.
But remember, I had been eating kind of healthy to begin with. I was definitely not all fruit, but probably 70 to 80% raw.
Wow,
and still doing some cooked stuff. But
that's still good,
back in the day when I was detoxing, greens and veggies were the things.
The thing. That's the same with me.
Right, exactly. So, in any case, by that 3rd month, testing the urine in the morning, finally I had seen some cloudiness, and I'm like, okay, there's a breakthrough about to happen, right?
Yeah.
So fast forward now, after doing all of that and trying to stay mostly fruit and doing some cooked food once in a while and cheating once in a while and all of that, I'm still living a very vibrant, healthy life. I'm doing my dancing. I'm just happy as a clam. And then in the spring of 2017, just last year, I started to experience a problem with my lower leg, my left leg. And I thought, well, it must be from too much dancing. I must have, and I lived on the 3rd floor of an apartment at the time, so I was always using the stairs for the exercise.
Yeah.
I avoided the elevator like the plague. But in any case, I could still dance, and that was all that was the matter. That's all that was important to me, except but as time went on, it started to get worse. The problem with my legs started to get worse. And then it started to feel heavy at times.
Wow.
And so, for the most part, I ignored it and lived with it through a physical move, because I moved from where I was to where I am now, which is about 3 hours north of here. And I continued to continue to dance and take dancing lessons, and you know, my problem leg started to become more of a problem. Until finally, in October, I went to visit my sister in Bennington, Vermont, which is where I grew up.
Oh, Vermont.
And she told me, reminded me, I should say, that my mother and my older deceased sister both had varicose veins, and my mom had hers taken out back in the 60s when they used to cut and pull them, surgically remove them. It was an in-hospital stay. And my sister Patty, who I was visiting, had just had hers lasered, where I guess they no longer take them out, but they laser them and then they let the vein die of natural death, however that gets expelled from the body. I don't know, but I guess it does, because that's the way they do it.
Yeah, but they don't know the lymph system, they don't know how to expel it out of the body.
Right. So after I told my sister what I was experiencing, she suggested, of course, that I go to a doctor and get it taken care of. So enter Band-Aid number 1. While I was visiting her, I went and had a massage. And it was a woman who was experienced in doing medical massage therapy, which is a little bit deeper for people who are athletes and stuff. You really got to get into the tissue. So I told her what the problem was, and she was working on my right shoulder. And I said, you know, my problem is really on my left leg. And she said, yeah, I know. And I said, okay, you know, I'm not going to question. So 90 minutes later, I walked out of there and I felt great. Band-Aid number 1 was only good for 3 days.
Ooh.
So I felt...
That's about right, though, after a massage, about 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. But I don't know why whatever she was doing in my right shoulder affected the lower left leg. It's, I guess, kind of like acupuncture, you know, it's trying to
maybe, but, you know,
energy.
your meridians go a little differently than that, and everything is bilateral.
Yeah. So, in any case, I had no intentions of going to a medical doctor because I had known too much about this. And at that time, I had already been through all of your classes, level 1 and level 2, and the iridology. So I was already well steeped into the lymph system and so forth. But I didn't know what was happening still. I didn't want to believe it was a varicose vein. And so I was going to get to the bottom of it. I had to continue dancing. Dancing is one of my passions, and I'm never going to give it up short until the good Lord decides to take me off of the face of the earth. So enter into Band-Aid number 2. I get home from my visit with my sister, and I use essential oils just because I like, for the most part, the aroma of them. They're great to have around.
They're natural.
But I looked into whatever a help would be of an essential oil for the varicose veins, and sure enough, there was 4 essential oils that I was to use, put together and put on my legs. So I did that religiously every night before I went to bed. In the morning, I would wake up, and it was great. I felt great. Not too much pain, but certainly an extreme relief from what it was the night before, especially if I was out dancing. So then I thought, but again, only 24 hours. It would last only 24 hours. So then I thought, well, what is one good treatment? Maybe 2 treatments would be better. So I started putting the oils on twice a day. Once at night before I went to bed, and once in the morning when I got up. And then I was doing it every day for about 3 weeks.
Holy moly, that's a lot of oil.
It is a lot of oil. And so I said, well, I'm going to give myself a break here and see whether or not the condition has healed itself and it cured itself. And so it took about 2 days for the oils to work their way completely out of the body. But unfortunately, there was no cure. There was no permanent cure. Band-Aid number 2 didn't work either. And so only then did I remember being in this office
Really?
2 or 3 years earlier and remembering you showing me in my eye where I was going to have a problem with my left leg, not knowing where or what part of the left leg was going to be affected. But after having had taken your classes and gone through iridology, I immediately went back to my eyes and like, oh yeah, I see where that is now. So
don't you just love that science? Though?
I
Not
do.
to butt in, but I mean,
No,
my God.
Yeah.
You can see why you have a problem somewhere.
Exactly.
I love that.
Exactly. And it's proactive.
It's proactive. Oh, yes. And
That was the beauty of it. Had I known and really felt confident that instead of thinking that you were nuts.
But I've been called a lot worse, so nuts is pretty nice.
Well, and you know, it's only because of the passion that I had for dancing that I felt really, you know, downtrodden with all of that, because you know, it's my second love, if not my first. It's either the work that I do, the work that you guys do, that, you know, dancing, you know, which comes first, you know, the chicken or the egg.
That's part of your whole essence.
So anyways, when I realized that, I decided I was going to go into detox mode, and this was right after Christmas. And in January, I was going on a cruise with my sister and a girlfriend, and here I am doing a major, what I thought was a major detox for me, the day before I go off, or a few days or weeks before I go off on a 10-day cruise. So unfortunately, 4 days into the 10-day cruise, I get sick. I get a cold, I get the runny nose, a sore throat.
So you started detoxing.
I
was doing its job.
Big time. And I was in the detox, I was doing the GI broom not just once a day, but twice a day. And I was also doing a lot of the other herbs that, you know, I thought...
Hey, you threw yourself into it.
I know, right? So I decided that what I was going to do was, instead of work through this on the cruise, I was going to do something which I never would have done if I was at home, and that was to rest. So I sent my sister and my girlfriend out to, you know, have their fun, and for 2 days I did nothing but sleep, rest, watch movies, and eat. But you know what I ate?
Fruit.
Watermelon.
Watermelon.
The cruise ship had an abundance of watermelon.
Oh, you just accidentally, right?
Yeah, right. Well, you know what? The spirit moves you in the direction you're supposed to go, right?
Exactly.
So I was able to get myself down from my top bunk. I lost the draw on that, you know. There were 3 of us in a small cabin, but they were both a little older than me, so it was okay. So anyways, I get myself down from the bunk 3 times a day to go up and get mounded platefuls of watermelon. And I could eat what I could there, and then I brought another plateful back to my room so that I could, you know, snack on it in between, you know, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So on the morning of the 3rd day, I woke up, and it was like my entire life had transformed.
Wow.
I got down from my bunk. I had no pain in my leg at all. And to this day, I have very little pain, if at all. And it only affects me more when I'm really using it, like when I'm dancing. But it is nothing like what I had before. Nothing. There's no heaviness. I don't feel like I have a ball and chain attached to my ankle, dragging it around. There's no heaviness.
Oh my God. That's.
So what I needed was the detox, and you know, it was what I needed to regenerate that valve in the leg.
Exactly, and you could have moved yourself into MS or something if you'd not done any of these things with the nerve rings with that.
Right.
And everything. You could have.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you want to share with people what your take is on what a varicose vein actually is, so for people who might not know?
Well, I mean, as far as I know, and they blame that all just on a varicose vein.
Yeah, because the valve in the vein that's supposed to help pump the blood back up to
I would think there would be more involved with that in you, more tissues involved, muscles and stuff like that as well, but who knows, you know. Well, that's the point. You know, when we were talking about it, I was doing a video this morning talking about how simple this is when you think about it.
There you go,
the two sides of chemistry, right? And the nature of the 2 sides of chemistry. But if you translate acid side and the alkaline side to the foods and realize that these foods are acid forming, these foods are alkaline forming. There's I don't know of any species on this planet that can handle the acid-forming diets long. Not even the carnivores. Hard to deal with the acid-forming diet long because in chemistry, when you're bumping up on the high phosphorus side and nitrogen side, you're going to leach calcium. Mm. And so the problem is the diets that are acid ash diets. When you have an acid ash diet, that means that the ash from digestion is acidic. And medical doctors think it doesn't matter because bicarbonate, sodium bicarbonate from the pancreatic duct will neutralize all of that and it doesn't matter. But we know better. We know that there is what's called the calcium buffering system in the human body, and that is when you eat a diet rich in acid-forming foods, which is going to be your proteins, your pasteurized dairy products, your beans, your grains, most grains, that creates a leaching mechanism in your blood because your blood must maintain its alkalinity. So to get to keep that alkalinity, it's got to steal electrolytes. And the most abundant electrolyte is obvious, and we all know it's calcium. And it'll steal it right out of that basement, that one layer of connective tissue. Mm. And then you'll get the herniation of the vascular wall, which is your varicose veins. Right. Herniation of the wall, which is not good. You know, because you can aneurysm from that. I mean, you can have an aneurysm from these things as well.
Right. So, you know, the way it was explained to me, that my sister explained from the doctors explaining to her, was that the valve in the leg was faulty and it wasn't functioning, which was creating the pooling of the blood at the bottom of the calf.
When you get into the valves and things, go to what you're saying. When you're looking at connective tissue responses and valve strength and stuff, and this is true with the mitral and the tricuspid in the heart, you can go into these failure of the valves, you know, just from calcium, just from acidosis and that.
Right. So I got the impression from all of that which happened to me that even though I was trying to eat more fruit, I was trying to detox periodically, what I really needed to do was to dig deep, you know, at the time, a couple of years ago, in order to prevent, to remove the lymphatic congestion that might have been in the lower extremities, you know, lower circ, upper circ, you know, get it all moving. And even though my diet was pretty good and I'm generally healthy, I mean, I don't usually get sick or colds or anything like that, or flus. I'm dancing, I'm living a vibrant, abundant life. So it's like, okay, I get it. I still got more work to do. And I'm going to do it because I want to go dancing into the grave, not some other way.
Think of parathyroid.
Yeah.
You know, because that strengthens the vascular walls and valves in the body, all of that. So you always want to go with parathyroid, and that's with heart murmurs as well, your mitral valve prolapses, those sort of diagnoses. You always want to go to the parathyroid.
Yeah. Yeah, and you had mentioned that to me at the time. In fact, in the original protocol, you had listed the glandular as a possible thing down the road that I should be taking.
Well, you know what? It's strengthening the vascular wall is key for varicose or spider veins even.
Right.
You know, strengthening those up. You won't believe this, but we had a case of varicose veins that, I mean, they were big pulling. I mean, they were just huge pockets. I mean, just all over this lady's leg. And she was a smoker and that, right? Well, she being a smoker and everything, she created for herself diagnosed with lung cancer. So she went strict on the grape diet and all that. We have never, in my world, I've never seen veins pull in like that. I've never seen them pull in a week.
Wow.
It generally takes me a month to get all your varicose veins strengthened up and pulled in. Week.
So that might have been an indication of how severe she was and what a good reaction she had to the
that quick.
To the
my
treatment.
God! I mean, yeah, to the treatment.
Right.
But I mean, can you imagine when you see these major, and then in a week they pulled in and strong. So it shows you that body was strong.
Yeah.
You know, and so, but it also shows you the power the body has to regenerate. You mentioned that to me earlier, regenerative detoxification.
Right.
Regeneration is where we have to be. We can't talk about just detoxification. We've got to talk about regeneration of the tissues, genetic memories and things like this, because we were talking about the kids earlier.
I know.
And the sad state of affairs these children are in.
And you know, some people think that, you know, I hear people, they come to me or they ask me questions about a liver detox or a kidney flush or this, that, or the other thing. And I'm like, well, what are you really trying to do?
Exactly.
And, you know, it's not just a 3-day weekend event. You know, it's a lifelong a long-term thing, maybe not lifelong, but certainly a long-term thing if you really want to regain your health and not have to worry about all, constantly using a Band-Aid to try to make yourself feel better, unless you want to stay on the standard American diet for the rest of your life, and that's going to surely cut your life force just by that alone.
But you see the Band-Aids, I mean, in an emergency situation, okay.
Absolutely.
But you see that's all they're for. And they're only a 2 or 3 dayer. So you want to go, just like you said, and you hit it right on the head, honey, address the cause of the problem. But if you sit there and no one ever told you about chemistry and the food you're eating, and that the foods are the chemistry that you're bringing in that is hurting you or helping you, we need to get real amongst us humans, and get away from the medical and the American dietetics people who have no clue about health. And we got to get those out in a way to where they need to play in fields of their dreams, because they've hurt too many people with their concepts and ideas that all no truth in them,
Well, I mentioned to you earlier too, I've been watching a couple of docu-series, these 9-part programs that address different, healing modalities and longevity and so forth. And over 18 episodes of 2 docu-series, just 2, and there's been plenty more, nobody addresses the real cause of the problem. They are all talking in circles, scientifically, intellectualizing, and all of that science is good science to know about, like the mitochondria and, the gut flora and the biome. But nobody said the 2 words lymphatic system as the main reason why things were down, and getting your kidneys filtering.
Exactly. So, plus the other thing about this is, even with the mitochondria, with any of the genetics, we really expect those guys to know. Are you serious? These guys don't know. And when you're looking at observed science, they can't even tell you why you see mutation of the cell.
Right.
Well, if you can't tell why mutation, what are you looking at? What type of medium and menstruum are you playing with here? I mean, there's no jigsaw puzzle work. In other words, there's no putting this thing together for themselves so they can understand it all. That's what we try to do, is put it all together so all the pieces fit and the picture is beautiful.
And it's simple. You don't have to be a medical doctor trained with all, 12 years of education and just...
You just brought up a good thing. All right, so we have a picture of a covered bridge, and there's 5 pieces to the puzzle. We have the same covered bridge in a jigsaw puzzle, and there's 1,000 pieces to it. Right? So that's the medical people. They go all the way. It takes them about 100 to 200 years before they circle around and get some things right. Then over here, we've already laid out the puzzle for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it is, and it only has a few pieces to it.
Right. And nobody talks about the interstitial acidity that happens when a cell normally consumes nutrition and then excretes waste. And where does that waste go?
And why does
nobody talks
about that. And nobody talks about metabolitic waste and things. They've got the massage people buying into it, goes into the venous system and back into the subclavian. It's just ridiculous.
I had a girlfriend of mine call me up last week, and she said she was really sick with a cold, and she wondered if it was a detox symptom. I said, well, what have you been doing? She says, I went to a massage therapist the other day and got a really deep tissue massage. And I said, yeah, it's probably a detox symptom. I said, but the problem is your kidneys aren't filtering, I'm guessing, because the lymph, that acidic waste that's being pulled out from the deep tissue massage is going into the bloodstream and then not finding its way into the lymphatic system and out the kidney, because it's coming out with her weakest area was her upper respiratory.
See, you bring up a good point there, and I think that's a very viable point, is that when you massage, you move around, but you don't eliminate.
Right.
And that's the key here, is you must work on the eliminative organs. Like you said, your urine must be clean. You must see some sewage. You must see some metabolitic waste in your urine. And so you can move things around and feel good, better for a few minutes. Like if you're real stiff and tight, get a good massage, you feel good for a day or two.
Band-Aid.
Which is okay.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But you got to go in and fix the problem.
Yeah.
Is this what you're doing?
Right.
Yeah,
so she called me today, and we talked about getting her on a detox program. So hopefully she'll.
If you think about it, all cold and flu-like symptoms are detox symptoms.
Everything is, right?
It is. It all is. It's just that we think you caught something or something. It's just the body trying to get rid of. That's all it is. Exactly. And we look at expectoration and I find that amazing in the medical mind is once suppress, attack. That's that consciousness, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
You don't suppress, you eliminate.
Right. So
You don't attack, you repair and rebuild.
So let's bring it on. Let's get rid of that stuff.
Dang straight.
So
You've done good.
yeah, thank you.
This will also help any residues here too in the breast cancer too.
Yeah.
It's going to really help open up all the nodes and get those kidneys filtering, which is really the key here.
Well, mine have not stopped filtering. I mean, once they started filtering, that's why it was always a surprise when I was experiencing this other symptom, because from that day in March when I saw that first filtration, I mean, I check probably every couple of weeks, first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
And, it's different levels of
Sure,
clouds.
but still, you're still filtering.
Right, so I'm filtering, but
Took
I
you
still...
3 months.
But
though.
that's the biggest thing, right? That's the
Yeah,
biggest thing, is
it
to
is the
get your
biggest thing.
kidneys
It
filtering
is the
to
biggest
start.
thing.
And that's when the real detox happens.
See what I'm saying?
Because then you can eliminate the stuff that's
Exactly.
clogged up, backed up,
See, you experienced it firsthand.
Yeah,
And that's what they're doing, experiencing it firsthand, that when your kidneys are not filtering, slow to get well, using Band-Aids. Get the kidneys filtering, speeding up, faster go. Oh, look, it's clearing up. Oh,
yeah,
look.
exactly. That's what happened.
Exactly.
2 days. Amazing.
Isn't
It
that
was just an
something?
amazing...
Isn't that something?
I just couldn't wait to share this with you and to share it with people out there, so that, as a minor, let's call it a minor success story or
Oh, I think
testimonial
every
as
success
this
story
is.
is a great success. Don't you think? Every success story is a great
know.
success story. Yeah, there's some people that are really, really bad.
Yeah.
And
And
God
you've certainly
bless them.
turned a lot of people around that
Yeah,
have been in
we've done-
wheelchairs and MS, and
We've done
yeah.
some good stuff.
Yeah,
I think
you
in the
have.
years that I've been here, we've done some really good stuff. But now we're training everybody, training you guys, and look what you guys are doing. Same thing.
Yeah, we're helping to
Isn't
spread
that-
the word and get the word out and
But that's
get the truth out.
Get the truth out. That's the thing. There's so much lies, and it's like propaganda and stuff, and it's like, why? It
Yeah.
obviously it doesn't serve mankind at all, you
No.
know. And developing
doesn't.
wrong theories and lies over product sales and stuff, that not ethical or moral, in my opinion. We
Right.
really we need to become a more moralistic or ethical type of individuals.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And that's exciting.
Yeah, so could I ask you a couple more
Oh,
questions?
please do.
So there's a lot of people, and I think there's a lot of truth to this, that spiritual people who believe that illness and disease starts somewhere in the auric field, starts perhaps someplace in a past life. There is a karmic unbalance that needs to be satisfied, and that some people get sick because of that. And unless they get to the bottom of that trauma that may have happened in another life or in this life, but they don't remember, that unless they get to the bottom of that and bring it up and out, that they're not going to get well, even in spite of perhaps having the whole raw fruit diet and the the herbal protocols and all of those things. And yet, in one of these docuseries that I watched, I think they used a number like 1.8 billion pounds of glyphosate that are being poured onto our conventional crops. And add to that the artificial fertilizers and
No, you just add-
pesticides and fungicides and all of those things. So where it seems like with all of those poisons basically coming into us through various mechanisms, breathing the air and in certain foods that we eat, if we're not eating exclusively organic, sometimes it feels like we don't stand a chance against some of these things.
Well-
So where do the two come together, that spiritual, getting rid of the spiritual traumas that we may be experiencing versus, allowing, nature and the lymphatic system to clean up and to get rid of it? Can you
Do you remember?
talk to that at all?
Yeah. Do you remember in class that my first approach to class is to teach the God worlds, to teach how creation is actually put together? Because if you are a jigsaw puzzler and you like to put together mysteries
with 1,000 places
thousands
instead of
pieces
5.
instead of 5. The study of creation by the masters that have previously been here and have explored and left information about them, and in the religious writings there's information about the different levels if you know how to look at that. And so we teach how creation works. And to understand that, one has to understand that you have multiple cars involved. Imagine you're a person that has 5 cars. You have 5 garages, right? Which one shall I take today, right? Well, the problem is that when you're here in this physical world, you're driving all 5 of those cars at the same time. You cannot exist at the physical level coming out of consciousness. You can't exist here without being embodied. You have to have the structure and the nature of that plane that your body is in or your car is in. You have to have a body that has the nature and structure of that realm to be able to navigate and experience on that realm. So this physical world, you have a physical body. You are prone, and I don't care how wise you think you are prone to the physical laws of this world. And your physical body will always be prone, no matter how spiritual and how powerful you think you may be. You will always be prone to the laws of this world. Your astral body, emotional body, will always be prone to the laws on the astral plane. Not you, because you're consciousness, but your body that you're using to be able to experience at these lower levels are. So each level has to be understood. You don't really need to worry about your spiritual misfitness, because when you start detoxifying,
it's going to come out.
And a little secret that we've been teaching you is how you pull yourself away from the mind, how you pull yourself away from your 5 bodies into the present moment of consciousness. Now you're not embodied when you're in consciousness. You might still feel like you have your physical body with you, but consciousness is not embodied. It is eternal. It is infinite. It is that which is in Christianity omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient, meaning everywhere, every place. There isn't no place that it isn't. That's consciousness. But right here, right now, in this particular realm, you have consciousness, but you also have to have a body to be able to bring yourself or your attention to this level. So you have to fix the physical body through the physical laws. I see a lot. I've been in the spiritual worlds all my life, right? And I've seen people positive thinking is going to heal me, biofeedback, which is okay. I love biofeedback.
Your Band-Aids.
All these, it's just another Band-Aid. But all these things, and it's like you've got to learn the laws of the plane you're on, your bodies are on, to be able to learn why you're out of harmony with those laws. Getting in harmony with the universal laws of each plane is key to survival of those bodies, not you per se, because you're only using these bodies to navigate. It isn't you, but you must follow the laws. Now, when you start detoxifying and pulling yourself more into the realm of the observer instead of the thinker, all your weaknesses will come out. You do not have to focus on your weaknesses. Wrong way of doing it. You want to focus on being here now, because if you don't, you'll never be here now. You'll always be focusing on, but this, but that, I got to do this, I got to do that. Treatment. And the same thing in spirituality. Man keeps thinking he has to learn to grow spiritually. No such thing. You already are that which is. You don't need to learn or grow anything. You have to learn how to stop thinking, stop planning, start playing in creation a little bit, and learn how to just be in the present moment. Learn how to be conscious, and then you'll get the information.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. That's always been something that's been doing some of the therapeutic energy work the way I do. There's a lot of people in my circle of friends that do that work that think that everything only lies in the aura, in the spirit, and that once you get rid of those things, things will get better.
But if you think everything was within the one, then you realize it all is within the one. Right. In other words, when you look at omnipresence and omniscience, that means everything is total. And when you start referencing God in all religious scriptures around the world, these are the words you see: omnipresence, omniscience, totality, consciousness, things like that, intelligence. There's no definition by the mind that can define that which is infinite. The mind is a finite instrument that you're using. Most humans allow the mind to control their journeys. So your thoughts are always, and your desires are always controlling your life and your journey. You'll never find truth doing that. You'll be playing in movies. You'll create your movies and play in them, just like the movies. Let's just put in a new movie, Days of Our Lives. Next one, Days of Our Lives. So this is a major soap opera. Exactly, Days of Our Lives. Yeah. When do you wake up from Days of Our Lives? And you can only do that when you stop thinking.
Yeah.
Stop desiring. and start looking. Then you'll see, But you've got to fix the physical body through that. Now, when you start detoxifying, it's all levels, because every cell has a mental body, an emotional body. It houses memory, pain. Every cell holds thoughts. So you've got to detox. You're detoxing 100 trillion cells and their emotions and their thoughts.
So all of that stuff is going to come to the surface and
You
be dealt
don't have
with
to
and
worry
get
about
rid of it.
That's the point. You hit it right on the head. What you got to do is not worry about that. Is let it go when it surfaces. Let it go. Let it go. It doesn't matter. If you hold on to it, it's going to take you with it.
Yeah.
No. You're not going. You're all. You don't want to reduce yourself down to form and finiteness. You can, but isn't it better to be infinite and more awake? The answers to things are always there for you.
Yeah.
Much cooler.
Well, it's like what happens to me when I dance. I feel like a little girl again.
Exactly.
I'm not. I am so totally present in the moment of dancing. I just feel like, just like a little girl out there
You're
dancing.
a whirling dervish on your own.
Yeah.
And that's what dance is all about. I love So You Think You Can Dance, one of my favorite shows.
Wow.
The Dancing with the Star, the young guy, I guess, won.
Yeah.
But it's creative arts.
Yeah.
And creative arts is flowing with the freedom of life and movement, whether it's martial arts or dance or whatever. And to have that flexibility is an alkaline hit in your body. So dancers need to be more alkaline, because if you eat protein as a dancer, you're stiff and tight.
Big time.
No, you want flexibility and movement, but you also need to learn to surrender and become a whirling dervish, where as you dance, you merge with the all of things, and pretty soon,
Ooh, just got a
out
big
you
chill
go.
on that one.
Exactly. Well, that's how Rumi, Jalaluddin Rumi started the whirling dervishes.
Right.
He just was so in love with God, it just made him just start spinning. But that's the beauty of it all.
That is awesome.
Fun stuff.
It is fun. So, one other question.
Sure.
Is there any ETA on your new naturopathic school?
Oh boy, I'm telling you.
Because I want to be the first one to register.
Oh, let me tell you, we are working. Pat's all over the place right now, but I'd like her to be a part of this with me, because she is an A&P professor. And
she's awesome.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
She's just friggin' awesome. So I need to set her butt down. But she wants one as bad as I do, And when you look at the nature paths out there, we had a couple of beautiful nature paths from Canada, 2 young females. They were pretty much nature paths are teaching what they are here. Same thing as medical.
Is one of the gals one of the ones you had an interview with?
Yes,
here?
yes,
A
that's
video?
the one.
I
Yes.
saw her.
The other nature path was watching, but a little more timid. But I love to see this, because they're teaching the nature paths of Canada how you do it, right? And they're going, wow. I mean, even we've had medical doctors come. I tell them, the medical doctors come give me a hug. And one guy from Canada, and he's such a nice guy, and he says, I cured lymphedema. We don't cure lymphedema. I cured a lymphedema case. And he's in with 7 other practitioners, and they're going, what? What?
Wow.
But when you understand the lymphatic system, all the answers of diseases and all this stuff start coming to focus, isn't it? And pretty soon, all the answers are just right there. Cause and effect. That's the bottom line. Don't think disease, think of cause and effect. What did I do? What did I ingest? How did my action create this effect?
And that's important.
Very.
After I got done with my whole cancer thing, and I started to learn all of the problems that were out there with the FDA and the government, the cover-ups, the lack of availability of alternative health care through regular insurance. I was really angry, and so I wrote a book, and the title of my book was, I gave myself cancer, I can take it away. Alternatives brought me back to life, and because I truly feel that they did. And now I'm on yet another higher level of detoxing with another, I don't know, does it get any higher than this?
I don't know. You know what?
But I love it. I just love it.
Our group is proving that there's no ceiling, that the energy is so much. One guy was asking me at class, he said, how do I turn it off?
I remember
How
that.
do I turn it off? It's just too much. And that's what I'm telling them. Don't try to be a frugivore yet, because I think man isn't mature enough to handle the insane energy that it brings.
Right.
Oh my God. I mean, this is no joke. this program is extremely regenerative and energetic.
Yeah.
And you've got to be able to have some stability here and there to handle it sometimes, because it can take you out there.
And when you're putting all of that energy in raw fruits and juices, I remember you talked about your 40-day orange juice fast a while ago. Oh my God!
6 months too.
Oh, was it 6 months?
6 months.
Oh, jeez. So imagine that energy that you're getting from the fresh nature of what you were consuming, the nutrition and the light and the love energy that's put into all of that from Mother Earth and the sun.
And the grower, because he was full of love.
There you go.
And they were organic, and it was like my body was like sucking them down.
Wow.
More, because we're starving for good energy and chemistry.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I know.
So
I know. Well,
that's
that's pretty good.
yeah.
I know
So
it.
that's great.
There's so much to everything, so much hidden, so much deceitfulness out there, and law and everything else, and it's amazing that these souls have just fallen into that. I think we need to walk around with some enema bottles and some GI broom, and we start going up to our elected officials and start trying to bend over. We need to clean you out a little bit.
Here, have one.
Yeah, exactly. And go out to Washington, D.C. and clean that up a little bit. Holy crap, there's so much constipation up there, it's not even funny.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
my Lord. People don't understand, we're all God experiencing itself, and you have to realize who you are and the beauty of who you are. Yes, we have bodies. Take care of them.
Yeah.
Learn how they work. If you're spiritual, keep working with the ability to not think. You can use your mind and not use your mind. I know it sounds weird, but once you learn how to pull back and just become the observer, quit focusing when you're observing. I give that, remember these little paintings? You got all these little dots, and it's just dots. And if you look right at it, you can't see nothing. But if you get back and you kind of not look directly at it, you start to see little figures in the dots.
Right.
That's the same way. And a good way to learn how to let go of external focusing and listen within. And that puts you into the present moment. And the answers to life just come flooding into you.
You're right. In fact, I've been practicing a lot of that recently myself.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do that, when I don't worry about what's out there, I just kind of sit back, and if there is a deadline or something I'm working on and I don't worry about it, it's like, just the answer comes when it's supposed to come, and I don't have to work at it.
Exactly.
You don't have to think about it. You don't have to apply all the...
Just be there to listen when
Right.
it comes. The mind will talk to you. Just don't follow it.
Right.
Just be there for the answers. When you learn that, that's the first step to working. It's pretty good, and you just keep pulling back to consciousness.
Mm.
And then as your time ends on this planet, you will go home. You won't be spinning.
Right.
Another story about that.
I know.
So good work on yourself, honey.
Thank
and just
you.
keep playing with that and digging into that. And everything's perfect. A lot of people have different levels of problems in their bodies, and some have to take it easy. Some can go faster. Some have to go up and down. Sometimes maybe do 5 days or 6 days on. Take a day off in your life and take a break. But don't also take things too seriously. I have to say that too. Even in the physical body, when you work in our clinic here, it's pretty bad. I mean, it's hard to describe. But you have to have a certain, heart, because
Oh, yeah.
the stuff coming in our door is pretty bad.
Yeah.
So
Well, people come to you after they've gone through, in many
Jesus
cases,
Christ.
a lot of the other
Oh.
allopathic treatments. so
I
to
mean, when you
speak.
have a tumor 5 times the size of your breast, that's not good.
No.
And all these sort of things like that. So the bottom line is you can't take things too seriously. You got to have fun with things. Just a body. It's not you. Learn the laws of the physical world. Learn the laws of the emotional worlds and stuff like that. And learn cause and effect. Everything you experience, you created. Learn how you created it and how you reverse that.
And taking responsibility for it as well.
Yeah,
well,
that's a big one.
Not being a victim in the whole
Oh,
circumstance.
that's a good one right there.
Because people who are victims
Uh-huh.
always want to be cared for and taken
Thank you.
care of.
That was a good one right there.
And until you take responsibility for your own actions and, taking care of your own health and doing the research that needs to be done to
Yes.
bring back into your own awareness what it is you need to do to get well, nobody else out there is going to be able to do it
Thank
for
you.
you.
Excellent, excellent. This is right on. She's right on with this. And you really want to look at it. You're the power. And if you're not the power, who is?
And the other thing too is when I was going through my cancer thing back in 2005, I didn't have a lot of support from anybody,
Yeah, that's the other
especially in my family. And so you have to be strong. If you decide to take a path that's not like any other, you have to be strong in your belief, excuse me, that is going to work for you, and that you avoid the onslaught of other people telling you that that's going to fail. Because if you believe it in your heart, that's all you need. You need that belief system, and that's all. So, but trying to steer clear of those other negative influences can sometimes be a problem, as you know.
Boy, that's right on.
Yeah.
That is so right on. I had a lady. She had breast cancer, and she a little, very heavy lady, large breast, but a small spot. And but she come from different levels of, caste, like in places, and so her family, her husband and her family, she lived with her parents, and everybody lived in a house, and so she's trying, and the medical doctor that was seeing her in town heard that she came to me and wrote the state. Now the state came after me. But what was interesting, the local newspaper was friends of mine and published his letter to the state. Well, it was derogatory to the patient, badly. So he got all kinds of crap from the townspeople. But as the lady would be at the house for supper, they would all tempt her with candy bars, meats, like it was some game. She ended up not making it. She couldn't do it. When you're obese and you're fighting fungus and everything too, and then your family members were sticking meat in your face and everything else, you brought up one of the most important points, I think, of the whole thing. Who's the power in your world? And if your family is the power, then you're might as well put a hook in your mouth and just let them drag you along. But you need to become the power of your own world. All of you guys have that ability. Some of you guys that are shy, you ladies, that's your adrenal glands. You just fix them. Become the lady warriors that each and every one of you are. You're all beautiful beings, and you want to show that to the world, But this thing about letting loved ones, and I have stories as long as my arm of loved ones who are now in the grave because of their good intentioned loved ones,
right.
Husbands or wives, forcing them to go chemo or something. Dead. Didn't need to be.
No.
Sad stuff.
So
Good point.
Yeah, it's important to find a support system that is going to help you work with the way you want to work in restoring your health. And it can be done because you got the power.
You got the power, and you did it. Look, you took the power, you did it. Yeah.
So twice now, I'm like, I'm doing it twice. The whole cancer thing and the varicose vein. I feel like, man.
Clean and strengthen, clean and strengthen, clean and strengthen. Absolutely, and that's what it is. It's what you're doing. You're cleaning out, you're hydrating, and you're strengthening those weaknesses. And it's just a cool thing. And you don't even have to think about it. It happens naturally.
Right. When you give your body the food that it needs, that it's meant and designed to consume.
Exactly.
Raw fruits and, to whatever extent some raw vegetables too, then it's a win-win.
Yeah,
There's
I remember.
no losing around.
Well, you brought up the point that I was raised with more, and that is the vegetables for detoxification. The carrot juice was in.
Yeah,
I got into this whole consciousness in about 69. So from 69 to 70, I've been into raw foods and been into that. And it's just amazing how you just see the changes. And in those earlier days, the Herbert Shelton group, the natural hygienic movement, vegetables. So carrot juice was the fasting preference. Not even greens, really. Carrot juice. Why? Carrot juice is not astringent. Carrot juice is a little sweet, so it's a little starchy. And how's that detoxifying? It wasn't. Dr. Jensen woke up with extreme prostate cancer. I mean, extreme. And so he put himself on a three-month carrot juice fast. In the 3 months, he weighed 80 pounds and no changes.
Wow.
Had he done 3 months of great diet, major changes.
Wow.
He didn't know better. Because he was trapped. He was trapped in that thinking of the old times. Even his Health Valley Ranch, those old times of whole grains, raw milk, cheeses. I went through that. I went from raw fruits to health food stores, raw milk cheeses, raw milk yogurts, nuts. I ate all kinds of stuff out of that.
It gave us the license to do those kind of things.
Yeah,
right?
no kidding.
Well, okay, this is healthy.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is healthy, right? All the soy, and I knew Monsanto was pushing the soy stuff. That was obvious. So all the good soy, right? Ah, yuck. So all this stuff, heck, half your health food store, the only healthy health food store is the produce section of your grocery
Right.
store, and hope that it's organic.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
I know it. It's sad about that. Now health food stores have candy sections.
I know.
Regular candy.
Yeah.
It's
Not
like
even
milk
organic stuff.
duds. You sell milk duds? You cannonballs?
They used to be a favorite.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, thanks for watching and listening to us, guys. You
yeah,
know, we
thank
just
you.
squawking on, but I just love people's testimonies and what they've went through, and you know, a lot of time and effort going through these things, but it's also a spiritual awakening in your life because you're plugging to energy, what you said. And if you go to quantum physics, energy is intelligence.
There you go.
So
it's-
everything has intelligence. Now, it might be in harmony with your level, but everything does have intelligence. So we love you. Thank you for watching our videos.
Yes,
thank you so
and
much.
thank you. I'm so
Oh,
grateful
no,
that you
thank
gave
you.
me the time
Oh.
and the opportunity to share this story.
No,
I love
we-
you so much.
Honey, we want those out there to
Yeah,
do it well.
absolutely.
All the stuff you see is not good, not pretty. So we love you. We're
More
always
the
here
merrier.
for you. Always.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.